And now for something completely different. No, I just thought that'd be funny to say that. Anyway, I wanted to do a quick little video here, do a complete 180, 360, whatever you want to call it, and do a different video. This is my buddy Gary, who is part of the Pilot Card guys. He's right down here. You may know him as Hungry Man 97, and he's a Pilot Card collector. I think it's an awesome thing to do, and several of my buddies and other people have said it would be really cool to have one of those galley carts that roll down the aisle. I have one of those. I've shown that in numerous videos years ago. I think I did a separate video. I don't have the link for that one because I am not organized, or I put things in to a what do you call it, playlists. You know, I only recently have done playlists. But I want to show you something very cool that I got on eBay a long time ago, and I mean a long time ago. I made this box here. So I was looking for, these are essentially what I would consider brochures, okay? And this is what I wanted to do as a brochure holder. There should be another piece that comes up here, I think, that it broke off here. This is not a brochure holder, but I made it out of one of those trays that you use for paper. I cut it down the center and enhanced it with some other pieces of plastic. I super glued it or what have you, and so I used it as maybe like a wall mount or a tabletop thing. You know, we have like the brochures and things you can grab at like the airports and stuff like that you would have at the desk. And these are all airline related, and this is what I got years ago off of eBay when you could just find people that are blowing out lots of airline stuff. You know, whether they work for the airlines or they just empty the trash and saved a bunch of stuff. Now it's like all individually priced, and people want, you know, stupid numbers. So like this, the whole box of stuff was probably not even $20 or $30 for everything, and there was just all kinds of, you know, magnets and bumper stickers and value jet stuff, and who knows heck what was even in there. And these are, I want to say, ticket envelopes, if I'm not mistaken here, and I believe that's where you put your ticket here, but these are mostly unused, and this is an old TWA Trans World Airlines, and I have a bunch of those. I had lots of those tags that you stick on your luggage, and see, these are all the same. They have a 1-800-FLY MCI on here. MCI, remember MCI, and oh, I don't know if MCI was that phone company, but now serving complimentary Aviator Air Miles 2,000 miles. And they're all the same on the backs of these, so I have extras in case somebody really, really wanted to have one of these. Again, I don't remember when these are from, but I want to say the early 2000s, and this one has a copyright date of 2000, WorldCom Incorporated, MCI WorldCom. All rights reserved on the back of it. So I have a stack of those. I got probably about 10 of those. I don't remember if I got rid of any or just kept a certain amount. Then I got a bunch of United Airlines ones. So from United, and it's really hard to see, but that's the old vintage United logo on there. I don't think that they still have that anymore. Star Alliance member, and this is probably from that same time frame here, early 2000s. I may have even had these around just after that. This is from 2001, so these are kind of getting on the vintagey side there. There's a few more of those TWA ones there, and I was keeping all of them because they look cool. I'd like to fill up a brochure holder. Again, I was at one point, you know, had different ideas of what I was going to do with many of my rooms here, and I was thinking maybe I could just, you know, have some photo op sets. You know, I got some things that can make it look like a part of a terminal or whatever, you know, have the right kind of carpet or whatever, and then just put a couple of signs there and make it look like I was headed off to the airport or in the airport. This is an Eastern Airlines system timetable from 1990. Or effective of July 2nd, 1990, so I think that's really awesome. Then I also have another one for Atlanta, much thinner one here, Eastern Airlines, and of course that does not exist anymore. It used to be really cool to find those Eastern Airlines badges, and people would say vintage 1960s Eastern Airlines badge, and it was from the 90s or the, you know, 80s, and it was not worth a whole lot of money, but they thought that this, you know, cheap little badge was worth a lot of money. Then we got US Air. I don't remember how many of these, but there's 5 for US Air and the Universal Studios, official airline of Universal Studios. Again, another ticket would go into here, probably through that little hole there, and very, very cool. This one is probably from the 80s. I just don't know much about 5 there. I'm sorry, the 90s, probably the 90s. And then we got a few other ones here. Here's a little brochure from Kiwi International Airlines. So that's very cool. Again, if you're at the right place at the right time, they didn't mind if you took extras. So a lot of people went to airports and took all kinds of extras. We have a few more Eastern Airline ones from 1988 and also 1988. I just thought Eastern was kind of cool. I think I actually flew on that once or twice. Maybe. I just don't really remember all the airlines that I flew on when I was a kid. I don't do no flying now. Here's a much older looking Eastern, and these are the wings that I was talking about. These kind of 70s, 80s era wings that have no value, but people think that they're super crazy value. They might have shot up in value now, but 1985, so that's, right when I moved to Oregon, and the timetable guide there, so that's neat. Have several of those, I think. One for, a bunch of these are from Atlanta, and again, another one with this type of font on here, so that's neat. That's from also 1988. And we'll just try to get through this a little faster here. We have another United one. These things got out of order. I've had these for, I could have been 20 years. I don't know. I really don't know. But they came with a bunch of stuff there. If you just do your homework, do lots, because that way you can find this stuff. But you're not going to find this stuff. This kind of stuff that people have saved, in their albums for a long time, and then they just throw them out. But you're not going to find another one unless you have to go to the dreaded eBay, unless there's another website that has airline stuff, and this stuff isn't valuable, but if you hit the wrong person, it's a lot of money. Why would I want to spend 20 bucks on this timetable from 1987? I wouldn't, because the entire lot was not even more than that. Let's skip to some other ones, and lots of more timetables. But then I've got these Midway Airlines. I believe it's Midway, and I think that's just kind of a cool graphic font there. Reservations, operating flight, and again, I'm not exactly sure how you got these. If you were able to get them to the ticket counter, or these are just leftovers from, and somebody just lobbed onto a bunch of them, and I really don't know. But that's kind of thing that they changed all the time. There's another Kiwi Airlines, authorized travel agent. So if you worked at a travel agency, you probably could have gotten these, and that's how these were probably acquired, I'm guessing. And there's Midway brochure of some kind. Very cool. And this one is probably from the 90s, I'm guessing, just based on the fonts and everything. Don't see a date on here. I sure don't see a date on this one here. Again, we don't want to go too far into it. There's some flight schedules here. Okay, so this is from 98. Yeah, so 90s. And then we'll just grab all the rest of it. So yeah, see, I have quite a few more. I've got US Air, I've got another Eastern timetable, and I've got to go through these and reorganize these. Again, I have a few extras which I might be willing to part with. I just don't know the value of. There's a timetable for Midway. Here's a Continental One Pass Frequent Flyer program. So there's that one there. Feels like something is stuck on the back of it. And to other people, this is just worthless paper. But this is kind of heavy paper, so like these two timetables get pretty heavy after a while. And so if you put them in a binder or an album, it's going to be pretty heavy. And also if you go to the Goodwill by the pound and find these sort of things en masse, you're just like, oh my gosh, is it worth it? But compared to eBay, yes, it probably is. There's a map of some kind, the Seattle Transit System, but it just fit in there. And then couple other Atlanta timetables, so there's a bunch of Atlanta. And then we have a really weird one here. It's a Seattle Transit System guide and map of the city. Just randomly ended up in that. But again, I did not have any way to get, a brochure holder, and there was no real eBay that I could just, type in brochure holder and get that. So again, I don't know who made this, but I wanted a clear one, and then I just cut that in half, sawed it in the middle, and then married it together and made a brochure holder out of that. Again, I have one more piece of plastic that goes somewhere on here, so these don't go all flying forward. I'll just show you this sitting back into here. We'll just put Midway on the top here if I can find one. We'll just use this one here. So there we have got Midway, and again, put that on a desk and then just put a little tilt on it so it's not laying forward there. And then it just looks like you could be grabbing brochures there. I mean, I don't have room to display all my, airline memorabilia because there's not really a lot of it. Again, we'll show you this very, very quickly. Well, I can't really get to it here. But I will have to do and probably I'll have to do it in slideshow format showing some of my memorabilia, but it's all in different boxes, so it was all once together. This lot came with like Airliner magazines, those Airline DVDs. Oh my gosh, I am so glad I found those at the Goodwill store, but you know what, I'm kicking myself because I should have grabbed all of them, but at $2.29 a disc, and they started mounting up, I could have spent 60 bucks at the store that day, and I wasn't planning to spend 60 bucks, but these DVDs were like $25–30 each. You know, and they go through all the motions and show all the different stuff of each airline. They're really cool, and I still have yet to watch most of those. But anyway, check out the pilot card guys, Gary, and I can't think of this other guy's name. I watched some of his little segments before. It's just kind of interesting, eye-opener, because, you know, we've got people, you know, falling head over heels for, you know, downtowns and basketball cards and things like that. Then we got the rest of the people falling head over heels for Pokemon, doing everything they can to get their hands on even a single card. And then now we've got the pilot cards, you know, that were essentially intended for children, but they're really amazing looking cards, and all the adults want them, and I kind of wanted a couple of them. Gary gave me a couple, and I hope to find some of my own on the first time. I don't know if ComC would start selling them. I have no idea where to really get these other than eBay, and that's probably the worst place to get them. But that's my video for today, something different, unusual. No response to John Mangini. That'll be in a future video, and thank you for watching.